myself Vaibhav. In our today's session of Visual JForex, we will be continuing our work with the algorithm using the indicator rate of change ROC. This is going to be the third and the final part of this indicators algorithm development. So let's get started. First of all, I will give you a refresher of the development so far. In the prior sessions, I had carried out the instrument subscription, then the position amount was defined at zero. Default instrument is USD GPY. ROC blocks of hourly and 5 minutes time periods have been taken into consideration. The get historical candle are also of 5 minutes as well as hourly and two blocks of 10 seconds each. Then these calculation expression blocks were used to define certain conditions for the execution of the buy trade. And on the lower side, we have these setup for the execution of the buy trade, which is now fully complete. And in this session, we will be constructing the sell side, and I will give you a brief idea of how we are going to go about this. We want the sell trade to be initiated whenever we have the ROC in the negative territory. That means the price of the underlying instrument is in decline and compared to the predefined period. In this case, we are taking the 12 hours time horizon, and if we compare the current price to the price 12 hours back, and if we see that the price is lower, then we will have the ROC lower, and this output is expressed in terms of percentage points. So if we see that the ROC output is negative 0.12, that simply means it is lower by 0.12 percentage points compared to the price 12 hours back, and that's how this works. And we want the ROC output within the band of 0 to minus 0.2, and if we see that the ROC output is within this predefined band, then we will start looking for the execution of the sell trade provided the 5-minute conditions get fulfilled. And on the 5-minute time horizon, we want the trade to be initiated as and when we see the momentum gaining strength on the bearish side. So when we see that the last 5-minute candles ROC value is below minus 0.1, whereas the penultimate candles ROC value was above minus 0.1, we will look to initiate the trade, and the sell side order will be placed, sell order will be placed. So that's the underlying logic, and quite simple at that. So now we are going to set these conditions using these indicator blocks. We are also considering the price action, and for that we want the last hour candles high and low difference to be more than 10 pips, and its closing value should be lower compared to its opening value by more than 5 pips, so that we have the confirmation in place that the momentum is turning bearish, and this might be the appropriate time to get involved for the execution of the sell trade. So that's the logic. Okay, so we start with the calculation expression. We will need to define the difference between the opening and the closing price for last hour. Now this time around we will need to deduct the closing price from the opening price, as the closing price is going to be less than the opening price, and whatever is the difference we will be utilizing that difference to define the stop loss and the target price. So here we will need to look at the difference of candle 20's closing and opening price. Candle 20 has a look back period of 1 and the candle period is hourly. So here we will deduct the candle 20 candle close from candle 20 candle open. A1 minus A2 and this will name it and this difference will need to be converted in the integers to be utilized as a stop loss level. This is 10 raised to the power 200 A1 into A2 oh I forgot, we will not create this output value variable just yet. Once we get the open at market block for placing the order, then we will create these variables as this variable needs to be in integer data type. So for that we will have to wait, or else I can bring in the open at market block right now just to assign these values, but of course we will be joining this block at the very end. This has value 2, so we will multiply the stop loss by 2, get target price. Okay, we are done with this. Now let's start defining the required conditions for the execution of the sell trade, and we are going to need 9 if blocks. We want the ROC of last hour to be in between 0 to minus 0.20. So this value needs to be less than 0. First input less than second input. and greater than minus 0.2. First input greater than second input. And after that, we need to look at the ROC output for 5 minutes. And in this case, the out 18, the last 5 minutes ROC value needs to be less than minus 0.1. And out 19 would have been above minus 0.1. Now we will consider the price action. And on the price action front, we need the difference between the last hour's high and low to be more than 10 pips. So here, first input greater than second input. The closing value for last hourly candle should be less than its opening price by more than 5 pips. So this difference needs to be greater than MCD. First input greater than second input. We want last 5-minute candle to have closed lower, so its closing price needs to be less than the opening price. And this condition we had also defined for the buy side trade only in a inverted manner. In that case, for the buy trade to execute, we needed candle 21's closing value to be greater than its opening value. Now we will need candle 21's closing value less than its opening value. Candle 21 close needs to be less than opening price. So here we need first input less than second input, and after that all we need is the last 10-second candle to close lower than the 5-minute candle close, whereas the penultimate candle had closed higher. So we need to compare these candle 22nd, candle 23rd, and candle 21's closing prices. Candle 23rd candle close should have been higher, as candle 23 has a look back period of 2, and then the candle 22nd candle close should have been lower. So now we will need to join it to the open at market block. First input less than second input. Okay. Default instrument USD JPY trade amount is going to be 0.1 million. Slippage is going to be 2 pips. And stop loss and target price we have already defined. Now all that needs to be done is to simply arrange these blocks and join it to the multiple action. So here we have joined this, and as you can see, this color coded line is also showing that the algorithm iteration flow is going all the way till the execution block. So with this, the setup is complete, and I hope you have been able to understand the logic and execution part of it. and hopefully you will be trying it out on your own. And once you are done with the designing and development aspect, you can test it on the JForex platform with the historical data to see whether it is profitable or not. So thank you all for joining in. Do subscribe to the Dukascopy webinar channel to stay updated on the market developments. See you next time. Till then, goodbye.